Frankenstein. Your neighbor, of course.
That'll be in discussion with the animation director about the acting, what's required out of the shot.
Edward. Frankenstein. We're neighbors.
We shoot video references, and we look at the actors doing their voice records and try to find little behaviors and idiosyncrasies that we can use in the performance.
This is Martin Short's voice record for this sequence. There's some of the gestures in there that he's done.
Able to shoot maybe 150 frames in a day, 100 frames. And it's 24 frames for every second. So it's slow, but when you're animating, you're just kind of in the zone. It's kind of like this Zen process.
Hello, welcome to Aardman. This is where we're making our film.
I think it's a great marriage for Wallace and Gromit and the National Trust to get together like this, because they're both very British institutions. It's a great privilege, you know, and a great honour for Wallace and Gromit to be chosen to be involved in all the things British this year, because they are often described as a British institution.
Animation production is a very complex thing. We can't just pile in and animate straight away. We have to know that what we're going to create is going to work. So we take the script and we create a storyboard, a graphic representation, a little bit like a comic strip of the action and the story. And we will then put that into an edit suite, put some temporary sound on it, and it gives us a very sketchy but representative version of our finished film. And from that, the director of photography, the set builders, the puppet makers, everybody will look at what they need to do based on the storyboard. That then leads us up into the production, where we get the sets built, we start bringing the puppets in, we start lighting the set, we start making it feel like the wonderful world which you will finally see on the big screen. And it's only in that final week into production that all of the different pieces start coming together and you start to get a feel for the final project. Everything in Wallace and Gromit's world is handmade. And that includes the sets, like the one I'm sat on now, the puppets. Everything you see has been made by somebody. And I think that's one of the key things about what we do and how we make things, is that they're handcrafted. We try not to let anything go to waste. So some of the items that you see in the films have been recycled, but most films have a bespoke element. For example, the grounds that I'm sitting in now are all built for this shoot, and it's because the camera angle is a camera angle we've never seen before. So for a production of this size, we're making approximately 1 minute of animation. The run-up in preparation to shooting was about 6 weeks. It sounds like a lot of time, but really when everything has to be brought together and made specifically for the shoot, it's actually not that much time at all. Once everything is ready, the animation crew steps onto the floor, and the animation crew consists of the director of photography and the electricians to put the lights up. To complete a minute of film, we have 3 animators working flat out for 3 weeks, and all of those animators are animating both Wallace and Gromit. The animators take a brief from me if I'm directing them, and I talk to them like they're an actor. What I'm after from them is a performance from either Wallace or Gromit or whoever it is. And I don't talk to them about how they're going to animate it. That's their skill as an animator. I'm talking to them in terms of the rhythm of the shot, or an emotion in the shot, or a comedy beat. If a character has to hit a certain mark for lighting or anything like that. Really, once you've given them their brief, they have to put the performance into the character. When you're using modelling clay, also it's very important that your sculpt of one character matches the sculpt in the next shot, because you're not necessarily animating the consecutive shot. So their skill as a sculptor is also extremely high. Wallace and Gromit are a challenge. Gromit, because he doesn't have any dialogue to hide behind, his performance needs to be surprisingly subtle. So it's quite a challenge for animators who haven't worked with Gromit before to hold back just a little bit. Getting the most out of him, it's definitely less is more. And with Wallace, he's pretty bold, and he's pretty hammy in the way that he delivers his performance, and that's largely where a lot of his comedy comes from. So there's quite a difference in the characters, and so switching between them can be quite challenging sometimes. So once the animation's finished, we go into post-production, and that includes picture post-production and sound post-production. And it's the stage really where all the final parts come together to make a lovely coherent film. It might just be adding a sky in, or putting some particles of light, fine-tuning the edit, all of those kind of things, just to put the icing on the cake, really.
I've always loved visiting National Trust properties. And one of my favourite places that I visited, in fact I took a team of people to visit for doing research for Curse of the Were-Rabbit, was Montacute House. We did kind of vaguely base Tottington Hall on Montacute House. I think the National Trust would have more than its fair share of jobs Wallace could get up to. Gromit loves the British countryside, he loves the heritage, British heritage.
It's been a great partnership with the National Trust. We fit together so very well, Wallace and Gromit and the National Trust. We kind of have the same values, and the settings for this film fit very well with Wallace and Gromit. The National Trust got a great sense of humour.